Hello guys, welcome back to Andy Narrates, where we review stories that beautiful people like yourselves post on the internet. We got 3 stories for you today. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for upstaging the bride and refusing to change my dress? English is not my first language, throwaway account. So I'm a 27 female, cousin 29 female, is soon getting married. The thing is, our families have been in no contact for the last 10 to 12 years because of some issues between our fathers. In total, 4 brothers who hated each other. The feud recently came to an end because all the kids are grown up now and we kind of want to keep our differences aside and enjoy the upcoming events. We all had a little reunion. The issue started with my cousin's engagement party. Now, I want to highlight that I take good care of myself. I do yoga and dance to stay fit. On some special occasions, I love to dress up a lot. It makes me feel good and confident. My cousin is a doctor and due to her schedule, she has put on some weight. But I respect her because her profession is tougher than mine. I'm an engineer. For her engagement, I wore a nice, beautiful peach color gown. It wasn't a new one. This was a 3-year-old gift from someone. We are Indians, and brides generally prefer to wear lehengas or saris. Even though we have reconciled as a family, my sister never involved me with her planning or anything related to her wedding, and I was totally okay with that. When me and my mother arrived at the location of the event, all was good, but the bride was late. People from the groom's side welcomed us nicely, and I was feeling great. My cousin was almost 2 hours late, but when she arrived with her 2 quote-unquote besties, I could feel the tension between us rising high. To my horror, she was wearing a peach-colored gown exactly like mine, but it was more glittery. Only the bottom part of our dress was slightly different. She went on without acknowledging my existence. My mom noticed, but told me to relax as it was an accident and to enjoy myself. She went ahead to help my auntie with further preparations. I took a seat in the corner with my other cousin. When I was talking to him, one of the bride's quote-unquote bestie came to talk. I thought she was there to invite me to join them, but she straight up told me to change my dress. I was speechless. I told her no because 1, there was nothing else to wear, and 2, my house was several kilometers away and it would take me almost 2 hours to do so. She started suggesting different options for buying a new dress, or she could lend me some clothes. I firmly told her no, and my mom and dad were unaware of all this. She kept arguing with me but gave up. When the ceremony started, my cousin was looking fine and smiled at me because, in the end, she was getting engaged to the love of her life. We both got a lot of compliments, and I thought the drama was over. But her friends kept giving me side eyes throughout the event, and today one of them tried to contact me on Instagram. The most hurtful thing was the fact that there was an after party thrown by the bride and groom for all the cousins and their special friends, but I wasn't invited. I kind of feel like an a-hole, but I need an honest opinion. Not the a-hole. It wasn't intentional, and it wasn't reasonable to ask you to change. If you did change, it may have been more noticeable. I would ignore your cousin's besties and text your cousin and let her know that you felt uncomfortable at her party due to similar dresses and that you were disappointed that you weren't invited to the after party. Maybe suggest that you and her go to lunch or get your nails done to catch up. I would hope that your cousin isn't interested in childish games and would respond nicely to your message. The only thing to consider is what will you do if she gets petty and wants approval of your wedding outfit? Not the a-hole. As a fellow Indian, I might have said you're the a-hole if you were wearing red and it was a wedding ceremony, as that's our tradition instead of white. But who the hell wears peach to the first party? Or rather, how were you supposed to know? Mind reading? I mean, I guess you can really pick any lehenga you want, but literally, you guys have the whole month. She didn't even have her holud or sign the official documents or anything. Also, there's literally no one more catty for no reason at all than Desi Besties. How do you think the Nosianis came into existence? Poor girl. You're the a-hole. You are not the a-hole because you wore the same dress since you didn't know. That is totally fine and understandable. You mentioning your body types is totally unnecessary. It kind of feels like you're trying to brag that you look better, which is tacky. The engagement was about the bride and groom, and it is only natural that they would want to be the star of the attention that day. I don't get how you weren't uncomfortable wearing the same dress as the bride. You didn't even try to compromise or come up with any options. Your cousin's best friend told you to change the dress and gave perfectly reasonable options. You said you didn't want to wear strangers' clothes, but you could have taken up on her offer to buy clothes, or could have even left, as you mentioned that you weren't comfortable wearing strangers' clothes, yet still wanted to go to the after party with those strangers. Now the a-hole, you didn't know she was going to wear that dress. Your cousin and her friends are for not inviting you to the after party, basically alienating you. It doesn't even seem like you took the spotlight away from her. If they wanted you to change it, they should have given you the funds to do so, inclusive of the ride. Then again, this is just my opinion. Well, a lot has happened since I made the post here. First, I want to thank you all for giving an honest opinion. One thing that I noticed, all the Indians who commented on my post told me that I am not the a-hole. Let me clear out a few things. I don't hate my cousin, the bride. I'm not petty or mean, and this dress incident was totally unintentional. Her friends said that I was upstaging the bride, which was not the case. During the ceremony, I tried to keep a low profile, even though it wasn't my fault. I compared our looks and weight because it had been literally a competition between us since childhood to look better than the other, which was really childish and created more issues in our family. And I thought her friends were mean to me because of our previous issues. So, for an update, a few days ago, my aunt, bride's mom, called my mom. They were having this general discussion about further planning for the wedding. Then my aunt told my mom that I would be besides the bride on stage during the wedding. It was a shock for me because it's like getting a maid of honor position. I quickly texted my cousin to thank her, and we talked for the first time after her engagement. We decided to meet up for a coffee. At the coffee shop, I brought up the topic of our matching dresses, and she told me that she was shocked at first, but later totally forgot about it. I also asked her why she was choosing me over her friends to be on stage. She gave a few reasons why. They are not punctual and irresponsible and can be very demanding sometimes, and I am literally her family. As I mentioned, she was actually looking very happy during her engagement. She also told me that she was a bit disappointed that I wasn't there at the after party, and her soon-to-be husband was also asking for me. From the talk, one thing I know is that she is not aware about her friends being mean to me and lying about me. Cousin and I are on good terms. At the end, we ate some delicious burgers and had fun, and I also showed her my dress, which I will be wearing at her wedding. Super glittery, light green color lehenga. I am still unsure if I should tell her about her quote-unquote bestie or just let it go. I just want to enjoy the wedding without any further drama. Edit. My lehenga for the wedding, the upper part, choli, is yet to be customized. Wow, so her so-called bestie took it upon themselves to try and get you to change your dress, and had you thinking she was doing this at the request of your cousin, who really did not care that much about the dresses being similar. Glad you guys got to actually talk and move on. Enjoy the wedding. I read that Indian weddings are awesome, sometimes even 3-day events. Reply. Yes, 3-day event with many small ceremonies and gatherings. Now that this issue is resolved, I am looking forward to that. I think like others have said, your cousin probably already has an idea that her friends might not be the people she wants to actually surround herself with in the future. Like you, I would probably hesitate to tell her. My gut would say, wait until after the wedding and honeymoon period, when things have calmed down, if you do decide to. Now, I don't know about everyone else, but I googled lehenga, and I would love to see your dress OP. I'm glad it all sorted out. I wouldn't tell her about the bestie, at least not until after the wedding. Don't create more drama. The drama is over, and well, you kind of won. Your cousin does care more about you than about her friends. She wants you beside her, and she did want you at the after party. Take that win with pride. Don't create more drama, but feel free to wink or glance at the bestie while you are standing next to the bride. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for saying I would wear my mom's wedding dress under one condition? So this came up during dinner the other night, and I'm wondering if what I had requested makes me come across as an a-hole. My mom thinks so, or at least like a bridezilla. When my parents got married back in the 80s, my mom wore a big, poofy white gown that was in style at the time. It's like Princess Diana's dress, but with more lace and frills. After the wedding, she had it packed up with the intention of saving it for any future daughters to use. Me. It's 2019. We're talking about weddings at the dinner table. Boyfriend has been hinting at it for a while now. When my mom says that when the time comes, she would love to see me wear her old dress. I understand why she would want to see me in it, but I'm not keen on the idea. One of the reasons is because it's just not my taste, and the other is because when you look at the dress, you know it came from the 80s. It is what you imagine the quintessential 80s wedding dress would look like, minus the tease hairstyle and frosted lipstick. It would look anachronistic in a setting with more modern fashions and wedding styles, as if the bride accidentally walked into a time slip and came out of it in 2019. Here's how things went. Me, sure, I'll wear it. Mom, great. Me, but on one condition, that the bridal party and the groomsmen wear clothes based on the 80s fashion, with an 80s themed wedding reception to follow. I'm a history teacher who loves doing research into different time periods and eras, so researching wedding trends, music, tech, and fashion from the 1980s and then recreating it would be fun. And I'm not so worried about my boyfriend and friends being opposed to the idea, because they know how much I love history and historical reenactment. Not to mention some of them partake in it themselves. One used to work at Williamsburg, and boyfriend is a Civil War reenactor. My mom wasn't big on the idea. She thinks that the idea of an 80s themed wedding is stupid and that I sound like a bridezilla for suggesting that the wedding party go through with the idea. TLDR, am I the a-hole for saying I would wear my mom's wedding dress from the 80s under the condition that everyone else wears 80s fashion with an 80s themed reception to follow? Edit. Jesus Christ, this blew up. Not the a-hole. That's very kind of you to find a way to compromise. Your mom is the a-hole for making this about her dream of seeing the dress worn by a daughter. But the thing is, you're offering that to her. I don't see why this period costume context is problematic either. I would hate to wear my mom's dress for that reason. Not my style. I would not be as generous as you're being. Not the a-hole. Your mom got to choose her own dress in the style of the times, so you now wanting to wear a dress in the style of the times now is only fair. Maybe ask her how she would have felt in a not quite trendy wedding dress such as her own mother's. However, if her dress was forced on her, for example, pressure from her parents, ask her how that made her feel. If she carries on with the quote-unquote bridezilla commentary, show her some wedding mags and websites so she can see today's styles. Not the a-hole. I would say no a-holes until your mom called you a bridezilla. It's still your wedding, and this seems like a fun solution. I had thought you were going to suggest altering it, which you would be within your rights to ask, but you're not even asking that much, so I don't know what her problem is. I guess make it clear that you're not trying to poke fun. Hey guys, it's that 80s bride with an update for you. Before we begin, let me just say that this is crazy how my first post blew up. I never expected this response. Thank you guys so much for weighing in with your opinions. A lot has happened since I made that post nearly a month ago. To begin with, no, boyfriend still hasn't proposed, but that's okay. I know it's going to happen. Some of my friends figured out it was me behind that post. When I mentioned the kerfuffle with my mom, one of them said, quote, "You wouldn't happen to be the one that posted that one Am I the a-hole post, would you?" End quote. While we aren't engaged yet, boyfriend and I did talk about what we want our wedding to look like. While we have a couple of ideas in mind, he was on board with the 80s wedding idea and joked that if I was to wear my mom's dress, then he wanted to find a replica of his dad's tuxedo and grow his hair out into a mullet and stash. Guys, he's a keeper if ever there was one. But seriously, 80s wedding is now in our top 5 list of wedding ideas. And when we brought up the idea with the people we want in our wedding, they were all enthusiastic for the idea. So it looks like that 80s wedding might be a reality now. That leads me to my mom. I sat her down and we got to her dress. And some of you were right. She thought that I would just be using her dress as a prop in a tacky theme wedding, instead of treating it as a treasured possession that it is. We did get to talking about how we could pull it off. I brought over some bridal magazines and pointed out how the dress will look next to the more modern bridesmaids. I actually did start doing my own research and made a Pinterest board to show her how I envisioned this new 80s wedding would look like. And not going to lie, she was pretty impressed with the amount of research I did into a time period she lived through. The Bridezilla comment came from the fact that she thought that I was going to dictate what everyone was going to wear. Turns out she was referring to a few more infamous cases, including the bride who wanted orange suede, Louboutins, and soda hats at her beach wedding. Again, I had to tell her I already ran that idea with the prospective bridesmaids, and they all loved the idea. The most important update: I actually tried on the dress while over at my parents' for Thanksgiving. It actually fits. It's a bit tight in the belly, but nothing that cutting out booze and burgers for a couple of weeks can't fix. I looked a little overdone in it, but I loved it. There is no way I'm going to want to turn into a new dress now. I want to preserve it. But this is coming from the die-hard history buff. While I may go dress shopping as well, this dress is a solid contender to be my future wedding dress. TLDR, still no proposal, but when we do get there, we may actually be having an 80s wedding. Edit. Stupid me forgot to take pics, god dang it! Second edit. I am really sorry guys. This was the closest I could find to something that looked like my mom's dress. For starters, her puff sleeves and skirt were more poofy, and the latter would definitely be because it looks like she had on a petticoat underneath that day. But here's the closest I could find to the overall dress. The hem of the skid had some kind of frilly detail as well. And here is approximately what the back most resembles. The butt bow is a bit smaller than the OG, but the skirt and train has a similar trim. Again, I'm really sorry guys. Kids, take note. Always have photographic evidence because you never know when you're going to need it. I just wanted to comment and say that if you decide against wearing her dress, you can book a bridal photo session with your photographer and wear her dress for some of the pics. I had a bride wear her mother's dress in a second day session with me, and she surprised her mother with a canvas wrap of one of the shots. Her mother adored it. NAH. Sounds like you were able to helpfully and maturely handle a potential rift and bridezilla moment. If you can continue to navigate your wedding plans and future plans in a respectful and insightful way, you should have a very healthy and happy marriage. Best of luck, OP. Congratulations on navigating a tough life event and on your future wedding. Just enjoy the moment and be happy where you're at. Sounds like you will be a fiance before you know it. Guys, I want to quickly interrupt this video to remind you all to please be an a-hole to the like button by inviting them over to a party, getting them really drunk, and then just leaving them stranded. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for calling my fiancé selfish for wanting to announce her pregnancy at her cousin's wedding? My fiancé, 29, and I, 31 male, just found out that we're pregnant. My fiancé mentioned that she wanted to wait to announce it at her cousin's wedding, which will be taking place on Sunday. Her cousin and her husband have been struggling to get pregnant, even with IVF or tons of others. Recently, they just got some news that their insurance has stopped funding IVF, not to mention the heartbreak of a recent miscarriage on Mother's Day. They almost understandably held off on the wedding. So, when my fiancé brought it up to me, I told her that that was not at all a good idea. This just seems so wrong, especially it being at their wedding. I asked if she was gonna at least ask her cousin for permission, and she said no, because she wanted it to be a surprise for everyone. I told her it's not the time nor the place for that, and it would take the spotlight off the couple. In her family, there hasn't been a baby in 3 years, so we'd be the first in that time. Fiancé feels that's the perfect time because it's such a joy and it's not like she can keep it away forever, and their problem shouldn't keep her from telling something so positive. So, it's on them if they turn it negative. She knows what they've been through, and she is being selfish if she actually goes through with that. She cried and claimed I wasn't being supportive and I shouldn't be calling my pregnant fiancé selfish. She doesn't want me to come with her to the wedding anymore either, feeling as if I would kill the mood. She hasn't been talking to me either. Edit. So about my fiancé and her cousin's relationship. My fiancé always saw competition in her cousin because her cousin would be better at some things than her. Grades, dancing, cosmetics, and so forth since they were kids, and she hates that. Last year, they had an argument about it because fiancé felt her cousin bragged too much. Whereas my fiancé also mentioned there was one thing her cousin wasn't good at, but never said what it was. So, in shorter terms, the relationship is between good and bad. But her cousin wanted to invite her to the wedding. I am guessing to rekindle that. Edit. If anyone is reading this, update coming soon. Just been going through some stuff. Sorry for the long wait. Currently waiting for it to be approved. Now the a-hole. Hijacking someone's special event to make your own announcement is extremely rude and selfish. Add on that couple is having a trouble getting pregnant themselves. It's that tenfold. Now the a-hole. Are you sure you want to marry this person? She seems to have zero self-awareness, and when you didn't lead to 3 cheers for her stupid idea, she doesn't want you there because you would kill the mood. She definitely loves herself above everyone else, including you. Sorry for the long wait, as I have been going through some things. Me and my fiancé breaking up, work, death of my grandfather, and other things. So, I didn't expect to get a bunch of replies to my post, but a lot of them were helpful. My ex was determined to go to the wedding, despite my protest, and even planned out how she was going to be refusing alcohol when offered. I did tell my ex's parents about what she was planning on doing. I didn't want to tell the groom or the bride because I wouldn't know how to put it in words that would make the whole situation any less awful. Ex's parents did end up telling the bride's parents, and they told the bride. The bride was so upset that she, unfortunately, called off the wedding. Everyone wanted her to continue it and invite my ex for a couple of planned guests thought of. When my ex announced it, everyone would just stay nonchalant and give her the excited reaction she was hoping for, and the classic just don't invite her plan. The bride was just understandably wanted to be left alone, and she just texted my fiancé in a very long paragraph telling her what a horrible person she was. She just decided not to do the wedding anymore, and her fiancé was very heartbroken, but all in all, they were both grateful to me. My ex instantly knew that I was the cause of all this, and she was furious at me, even more because I posted about it here, but also said a pretty sick thing about how she still pretty much won anyways. I just decided to break up with her myself after that. Some of her family members are kinda upset with me, as they believe I just caused a bunch of drama. Now, I'm currently in the works of talking to an attorney, as my ex told me I will not be seeing the baby after they're born. So all that on top of the grief, working, breaking up, being called a mess starter by some of her family, and still feeling like shit because either way the bride and groom were heartbroken. It's just putting a bunch of anxiety and stress on me. Anyway, here's the long-awaited update. Any questions, I'll answer them. Edit. So they were pretty much already contemplating canceling the wedding. Family members did stress her out over her miscarriage and canceling. Her fiancé's family was excessive that she couldn't carry a baby to full term like a real woman. Not to mention her own family went around spreading her miscarriage like wildfire, which is how my ex and I found out. They told it to co-workers even. It's not the first time my ex has also interrupted her cousin's big events. For example, when turning 17, my ex cake smashed her, which wasn't fun for her cousin. Their first pregnancy announcement, which was a miscarriage, was ruined because my ex blurted the news out. But her cousins told her to get over that because it was a miscarriage anyways, so she's told by family members. This is what I was told when asking her fiancé. So she's been at a breaking point for a while. She was considering just still continuing the wedding, but wanted to be left alone. They didn't call off the wedding permanently, just until the bride had cooled herself down. Oh my god, OP, you did the right thing, which very often is also the hard thing. It's not very comforting, but it's something. It's really unfortunate that you didn't find out about your ex before you tied yourself to her with a child, because she is not going to make it easy. Keep doing the right thing. And good luck with the forthcoming Munchin. They're amazing at refocusing your priorities. How sad for her cousin. I hate that she let your horrible ex ruin what should have been a special day. Honestly, the fact that your ex says she won anyway shows that it was never actually about wanting to announce the pregnancy, just about hurting her cousin for some reason. Don't back down fighting for your rights to your child. I am very concerned about a person like that having sole custody over a living, breathing human being. Alright guys, that was it for today's stories. Thank you very much for listening. Please remember to smash that like button for me and subscribe for more stories. Thank you again for everything guys. We will be seeing you in the next one.